When the shit hits the fan, what are you going to do with the shit? Hey guys, it's Jara with Wicked Prepared. Welcome back to the channel. So 10,000. This is our first video since reaching 10,000 subscribers. We were so excited for that. And honest to goodness guys, we are just so thankful for each and every one of you. Those of you who've subscribed, who've taken the time to comment, and if you aren't subscribed, because we know that the vast majority of those who watch our videos are not subscribers. If you're not a subscriber and you'd like to be a part of our YouTube family, well, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because we would love to have you. Today I'm going to share with you all our emergency toilet and hygiene kit. Lately, you know, we've mentioned that we've been entertaining the possibility that we could possibly spend some time sheltering in our basement. For us in our situation, in the event of any kind of nuclear attack, the safest place for us to go would probably be our basement. Now, I know this isn't a pleasant topic and it's not one that many people like to talk about or even think about, but we are not a head in the sand kind of people. We know that being prepared puts us in a better position to have the best possible outcome in any situation. And I think that honestly right now we are probably closer to the possibility of a nuclear attack than just about any other time in history. So although I still believe and hope that it's a very small possibility, well, we just like to have our ducks in a row. So we're making sure that we'll be set up with everything that we would ever need if it came down to spending a few weeks in our basement. So a few weeks ago, we showed you our emergency cooking kit that we put together. And that could be used, well, it could be used in any kind of grid down emergency, really, not just sheltering in your basement. And we had several viewers ask us, what was our plan for going to the bathroom? So I thought I would show you today. Now, this is something that we've actually had put together for quite some time. We've had this for a long time, and I have been planning to show you in a video at some point, but it's really the most unglamorous side of prepping, so I had put it off. But since folks have asked, well, here we are. And like the off-grid cooking kit, there are really many different situations that this could be useful for. So why might you need an emergency toilet kit? Well, anytime that the grid is down, there's a possibility that your toilet will not be usable. If you have a well and your pump requires electricity, there's no water to flush. If your town water or sewer relies on a pump system that could be down, infrastructure could be damaged, you never know. When I was pregnant with my oldest daughter, I was living in a little rented house in a little town in Northern California called Rio Dell. And while I lived in that house, a few different times the sewer backed right up into the bathroom, and there would be several days that we couldn't use the bathroom. Now, that was a long time ago, and I don't really remember like the whys and hows of it all or how it got cleared up, but what I do remember was having to walk down to the bar on the corner to use the bathroom because that was the closest place to go. I mean, if it was just number one, well, I grew up in a house without electricity or indoor plumbing, and I've done a lot of like wilderness hiking in my life, so I'm totally comfortable with the idea of just squatting in the yard. I mean, it was a fenced-in backyard. But for anything besides number one, it meant a walk down to the bar. Boy, don't I wish I had known about these emergency toilets back then. This could also come in handy if you had to evacuate your home, say, and you weren't sure where you were going to end up, especially if this was like a mass evacuation. How often do we see people who are just stranded on the highway because it's total gridlock and traffic is at a standstill? You just never know. And there are also some people who use these emergency toilets for camping, if you're camping in a place without outhouses, or even if there are outhouses and maybe you get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and you don't want to walk all the way to the outhouse in the dark, like by yourself. That's every single night for me when we're camping. So there are a myriad of situations where an emergency toilet like this could come in handy. So what I've got here is basically a 5-gallon bucket. And you can use any bucket that you have lying around. I mean, we have so many of these around here, but I did get a nice new one for the purpose of this video. And then you can get a seat that is made just specifically for this purpose. And it snaps right on the bucket, and then you store all the supplies that you need right inside. So I'm going to show you exactly what's inside our emergency toilet. But first, I want to point out that if you need to keep the project low budget, then besides using a bucket that you already have, you can also make a seat out of a pool noodle, because you can get these for like $1 at the Dollar Tree. If you grab them at the end of the season on clearance, you might even be able to get them for like 10 cents. I always pick up a few of these to keep around the house because they're super handy for all kinds of things. And you know, when you really need one, it's going to be the middle of winter and there will be none to be found, of course. So if you want to make a seat out of a pool noodle, you just have to cut the noodle to the proper length, and then you slit slit it open all the way down the length of it. Now I just used these scissors to do this. This was very simple. And then you are just going to fit it onto the bucket like so. And then you will have a nicely padded toilet seat that costs you $1 or less. But for our intents and purposes, I did go with the seat, and it looks like that, and it snaps right onto the bucket. And it does have a lid that lifts up. And you can get those at Walmart, you can get those on Amazon. I'll try to link to everything that I show here down in the video description when I can, but honestly a lot of what's inside of the bucket here came from Dollar Tree. So, and you know how Dollar Trees are, sometimes you can find it and sometimes you can't, so you just got to keep an eye out. So I'm just going to start taking everything out of the bucket, and I'm going to lay it out, and then I'm going to go over it and show you everything that we have and why we have it. All right, my bucket's all empty. All right, so the first thing that I had inside my big bucket, my 5-gallon bucket, are these 2 additional buckets. This is a 2-gallon bucket, and this right here is a 5-quart bucket. And there's going to be several different purposes for these buckets. And this bucket also is containing a lot of other supplies inside of it. Okay, so you might be wondering why I have 2 smaller buckets inside of my 5-gallon toilet bucket. There's several reasons. Now, one of those reasons is even if you don't have running water to flush your toilet with, if you have a source of water, you can bucket flush your toilet. You can take a bucket full of water and just pour it right in the bowl, and the toilet will go down, and you can flush that way. So if you know that you might lose power or you might lose your water, if you know ahead of time, like say you know that you're getting a hurricane or a big storm when you tend to lose your power, you can fill up buckets with extra water. We fill our bathtub. Sometimes you can just fill your bathtub and keep the water in it, and then you have a source of water that you wouldn't want to drink, but it can be used for things like toilet flushing. And then outside of that, this bucket with the lid also can be used to contain some of your supplies while you're in the process of using this toilet when they're not going to be stored inside this bucket. You can also use these 2 buckets to create a little hand washing station if you would like. Now you can even hang a little hand towel right over the handle of this bucket. Now some of the other items that we have inside the bucket, obviously we have toilet paper. That's very important. And I also have some of these wipies. These are flushable wipes. Now obviously you're not flushing them unless you're bucket flushing your toilet, but I just like these flushable wipes rather than baby wipes because the package is a little bit smaller. So you can serve the same purpose in a little bit smaller amount of space. And I like to get one that has this type of opening on the top rather than just the peel off top because it's easier to keep it closed so that they don't dry out. Now the next thing that we have is special bag liners for this toilet bucket. There's special bags that are made to line the toilet bucket. They're supposed to fit it very well, and they're supposed to be really leak proof. Now I really like this set because it comes with the liner bags that line the bucket toilet, and then it also comes with disposal bags, which are a strong bag with a Ziploc so that you can contain the used bag inside of that. And it's just a little bit of extra protection against leaking and extra protection against odors and all that kind of stuff. And so I really like this set. I found this on Amazon. I will link to this down in the description. And next you're going to need something to put inside the bags to absorb the waste and to cover the waste, to keep the odors trapped a little bit better and to keep it from being just a leaky, messy mess. And what we use, I got this container at Dollar Tree. So what we keep inside of here is pine pellet bedding. And we get this right at Tractor Supply. It's for like animals. But you can also use pellet stove pellets because that will work just as well. And I learned that when my oldest daughter worked at the animal shelter because that's actually what they used for kitty litter there was wood stove pellets. But I'm going to show you how this works. I've got a little dish here. Whoops, I'm going to put just a little bit of these pellets in the bottom of this dish. And I'm just going to pour in some water. And in a little while, I'm going to show you what happens. Now next, I have some hygiene items. I do have a bottle of bleach. Now it's important to note that liquid bleach has a pretty short shelf life, actually about 6 to 9 months. So I do rotate these items out of here. I rotate certain items out. I do this every 6 months. So I do this in March and September usually. And I will take things like the bleach, things like the wipies, anything that might dry out, things like these. just rotate them right into our regular everyday use and put fresh packages in the kit. I also have a pump hand soap and a hand sanitizer. Now, if the grid is down and you have no running water, you probably aren't going to be using the liquid hand soap, but just in case you do have access to some wash water, I did include this, but you're more likely to be using hand sanitizer. I also like to include some hand sanitizing wipes, because sometimes you might want to actually remove some soil from your hands and not just rub the hand sanitizer in. I have included these 2 small bottles of disinfectant spray. There's a Lysol spray, and then there's an Odoban, which will take care of odors, and it does disinfect on surfaces and in the air. And then I also included a pack of these. These are disposable washcloths. These are pretty large. They're definitely larger than the flushable wipes. They're larger than baby wipes even. These are meant for washing your body. So if you don't have access to running water, these could be a real blessing. And then finally, I also have a container of baking soda. Now this can be sprinkled in with the pellets to help absorb the odors also. Now next I have some items for privacy. Now wherever you set this up, whether you set it up in a corner of your basement, in a corner of your home, if you're still in your home, you could certainly set this up right in your bathroom or anywhere. You might set it up outside if it's summer to keep it out of the house, but wherever you set it up, you might want some privacy. So I have included a tarp. Now this is just a cheap Dollar Tree tarp, because it doesn't really matter. It's not supposed to be really protecting anything from the elements. It's really just providing a privacy screen. So I've got this small tarp, and then I have this baggie that's full of fastening type of items that can be used with the tarp. This is just a little container full of some nails and some push pins. There's no hammer in here, but we know that we do have a lot of tools around the house, plenty of tools, or you can find anything to hammer in a small nail like that. I also have a small thing of paracord, and it's got some clips stuck right on it so that they're just not taking up extra space. These are just little clips from Dollar Tree, kind of like a clothespin. These could be used to hold the tarp in place. But I also have this, which was a roll of heavy duty duct tape. It was just a Dollar Tree roll, and what I did was I just flattened it. I just stepped on it and flattened it down, and then I put some binder clips right on it to hold it together. And then you also have these binder clips that you can use with the tarp, in conjunction with the tarp, the rope. All of these different items you can use to figure out the best way to hang up your tarp or anything else that you need. Because I also included, these are just some extra garbage bags, and they're from like a package of these, which are 10.5 gallon. They're hefty, so they're pretty sturdy. So what you can use these for is several things. You can use these to line inside of the bags that are made for the toilet, because those bags are pretty expensive. So if you want, you can use something like this that's less expensive, and it's inside there. And so if there's no leaking, you can just take it out and throw away the cheaper bag and keep the expensive toilet bag in there. But you have that toilet bag as a backup if this does leak. You could also use this just to dispose of regular garbage, or you could also use these to increase your privacy screening if you needed to. And once again, these are held together by a binder clip, because that can be used as a clip with your tarp, with these bags, with anything. And then the final thing inside this little baggie of hardware are some zip ties, because these are going to be really handy. You can use them to hang things, you can use them to connect things, anything you need really. Zip ties are great to have. So the final items that I've included in my toilet kit are some lighting items. Now I got this light from Dollar Tree, which I was pretty impressed with this for a Dollar Tree light. It's pretty bright. I don't know if you can tell how bright that is, but it's a pretty bright light. It did not come with the batteries, but it just takes 3 AAA batteries, which I also purchased right at Dollar Tree. I like it because it can stand up. See, it's pretty wide, so it can stand up. It also has these little magnets on the back, so it could stick to any metal surface. And it has this little hanging tab that you could pull out if you wanted to hang it somewhere. So there's all sorts of options to use this for lighting, and it's also pretty compact, so it was able to fit inside the bucket with no problem. And then the other thing that I included, and these are also from Dollar Tree, are some of their solar lights. These are taken apart so they would fit better. It's just top and bottom stake. And then I have one of these pathway type of lights, also from Dollar Tree. Now the idea with these, if you were to put your toilet somewhere outside of your home, you would be able to have lighting with these. You could light the path to the toilet area. And even if you didn't put your toilet area outside, you can always put these solar lights outside to charge, and then you can bring them inside and use them at night. So another thing that you can do with these bags is you can flush the water out of your toilet so that the toilet bowl is empty, and you can actually put these bags and use them to line your actual toilet bowl if you like, because then you don't have to sit on the bucket and use the bucket. You can use these right inside of your toilet bowl if you're in your home and you're able to access your bathroom. you can use these liners right in your toilet. A couple of things you might want to consider. There may be people in your home that would have a little bit harder time using a 5-gallon pail as a toilet. The 5-gallon pail is not the most sturdy and stable option. If you have people in your house who are elderly and maybe not as sure on their feet, people who are very large and might have a difficult time sitting down or standing up without tipping over the bucket. There are some store-bought options that you can consider if you can afford it that might be a little bit more stable. I'll link to some things down in the description box of examples of what I'm talking about. Also, if you have very small children, they might be more comfortable on a child-sized potty. And if you have small children, you probably already have a potty chair in your home. But if you don't, you might want to consider purchasing one. You can get a collapsible one that can store away pretty easily. And these little potty chairs can also be lined with bags, the same way that the bucket can, for easy cleanup. So what you can do here is you can actually detach the handle of your bucket, and then you can attach your toilet paper right onto this. I also like to put a hanging hand sanitizer here because it's just handy if you don't have a surface, like a table surface, anywhere that you're using this toilet. You can have one hanging right here, so it's handy. And then you could always refill this out of the bigger bottle, the bigger pump bottle. And then I also took 2 little pieces of the same pool noodle that we made the seat out of, split them, put them right on here, and wedge them up here. And this helps hold this away from the bucket so that your toilet paper can move freely. So now let's start packing everything back into the buckets. All right, guys, so that was our emergency toilet and hygiene system. There are a lot of different situations when that could really come in handy. Now, it's important to note that this is more of a medium and short-term solution. So if you're going to be without your indoor plumbing for longer than a few weeks, you're probably going to want to come up with another solution, which would probably mean digging an outhouse pit outside of your home and maybe erecting some sort of shelter around it. Now, we actually have an outhouse on our property. It's part of our holiday display. Mr. Wicked Prepared built it to be part of our Christmas display, and it's been part of our Halloween display. And before he built this, we did talk about it, and we decided that if he was going to put the time and resources into building something like this, we wanted it to be something that was to scale and could be functional if we ever needed it. So if we ever had a long-term grid down emergency when we needed to dig an outhouse pit, we already have the structure ready to go. I hope you got something useful out of this video. If you liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know down in the comments. Do you already have your emergency toilet system set up, or is this something that you still need to work on? You can do this on a budget. You don't have to go all out. Sometimes I like to go a little bit over the top on the things that I do. But you really just need the basics. You can use some things that you already have around the house. Just the bucket, some sort of seat, a liner, some material to absorb toilet paper, and some kind of hand sanitizer or hand wipes is really all you need. In a pinch, you could always use sand, dirt, leaves from outside as the material that you put in your bucket instead of the pine pellets. Okay guys, so I promised that I would show you what happened to those pellets after I dumped the water in them. Here they are. You can see that there is no liquid left inside of this dish. They've completely broken down and turned into this sort of sawdust, soft sawdust kind of substance. And they have a really nice piney odor, so this would really cover up a lot of the scent of your solid waste, and it would really absorb all of your liquid waste. And this is why I prefer using this over kitty litter. If you made it all the way to the end of the video and you know I had to do this, leave me a poop emoji down in the comments. It means a lot to us when you watch the whole video all the way through. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm Jara with Wicked Prepared. Survive today, thrive tomorrow. We'll see you next time.